Hey, what's happening, Mr. Cool Dude, Mark Bare Naked Willie? How are you today?
BS Fridays is back on Dave Cooper Live.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of BS Friday with Mark Bare Naked Willie. I almost said the Bare Naked Ladies again, man. I must be the sunglasses. I don't know what it is. But hey, man, we got a really great show for everybody today. It's so surprising that, so many people in this country have no idea that it's actually their houses making them sick.
It's not a subject we had growing up, right? So it hasn't been passed on. And
Yeah.
when you hear the story today and the 78,000 homes that have participated, Dave, you and I always talk about data and how to transform the industry and how we can innovate and collaborate. And 78,000 people have done that. We have this in front of us. And so how many people are sick because of their buildings? What's that data?
Well, you know what? I know somebody who's collecting it.
and our friends are about to meet them as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's what it's all about, connecting, collaborating, and learning. So if you're just joining us, we are live on 3 locations: LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you are not following Mark Bare Naked Willie and myself, please follow us. And as always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps us grow our network and grow all the information and knowledge and put it out there to the world. And also, if you're not familiar with it, I always got to promote my Stone Pile College, man. How cool is this? Stone Pile Construction College. Use the URL down below so they know that you came through us. Mark, this college is great because you only need a high school diploma and you got to write a paper.
And the college is also great because when you go to the site, there's a handsome gentleman with a nice black backdrop and a bright white shirt named Dave Cooper, and he's giving his recommendation for the industry and for all of our friends from the offsite world and the building science world to join. I love the college. I've been in contact with some of those folks since your introduction, and come to find out I already knew some of them. I want to remind our regular viewers that, we had some technical difficulties. And for those that were interested in hearing from our friend Corbett, he's coming back on December 11th with Grace. So we get the benefit of Grace and Corbett. Many of you signed up and we missed that dialogue. So bless your hearts to everyone else that filled in and came along with us for the ride, Joe Konopacki. And also, for folks that are tuning in today, please know that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you can visit Dave Cooper Live and you can hit the YouTube whenever you like, 24/7.
Yes, sir, indeed. So, all right. So we have a special co-host today. You might know her. Everybody else should know her by now. What do you think? How about you do this introduction?
So, friends, you've met her before on the BS Friday show, and you've certainly seen her at trade shows and with, as we say, the Passive House Accelerator. So, Prudence, please come out of the fish tank and say hello to all your friends in the building science world.
Hey, what is happening, Prudence? How are you today?
Hey, everyone. I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing great. I mean, it's BS Friday. I mean, it is great, other than all the leaves I got to rake up outside.
Yeah, well, I'm in Leaf Central now. I'm coming to you from Philly. Last time we talked, I was in California. So now I get to enjoy all the beautiful fall colors. And I have been diving into those leaves. Me and my 130-pound sled dog have been mucking up a storm with all the beautiful leaves out here.
I love it. I love it. Well, it is beautiful until you got to rake them.
Man, talk about buildings that are making people sick. I heard you guys in the intro, and I'm looking at all of these houses here in Philly, these stone houses that just have single pane windows and they've got wood studs on the inside and nothing in between. And it's ready. This place is ready for some upgrades to healthier homes.
So what is the first step, Prudence? Would you say run a blower door and evaluate the building? Would you say buy a dehumidifier before you call your third party tester? What would you say?
Well, the first thing I would say is if you're living in a building and you got that musty smell in there, there's something going on that's probably making you sick. And you probably have some humidity issues where moisture is getting into your building assemblies where it doesn't belong, and some kind of mold or rot is happening. And yeah, taking a look at where you could have humidity getting in. A lot of times it's in the basement or in the crawl space. Those are real big culprits. And there are 3 areas where you can get indoor air quality issues happening. One of them is through leaks in the building, air
Yep.
leakage coming in and bringing that moisture into your building assemblies. And then the other one is you've got bad ventilation. Maybe you don't have any ventilation except an exhaust fan. And that means you're just sucking dirty air and pollutants into your building, which is also going to make you sick. And then the other thing that can happen is you've got dangerous contaminants inside the building that you're not properly ventilating. Maybe you've got some toxic paints or cleaning products. The other thing that can
Or a
happen is
combusting water heater.
Yep.
that's right, a combusting water heater, or you're not putting the lid on your pan when you're cooking your dinner, and you're not running enough ventilation in your kitchen to get those indoor pollutants out.
You guys mentioned fall in these buildings. So a quick reminder to everyone, your gutters and downspouts need to be clear so that bulk water is shedding away from your property. And we're entering the winter period. So we want that drain of the bulk water to go away. So it's not just the vapor and the other forms of water, but it's the bulk water. Keep that away from your buildings, whether you're the owner of the building or the inhabitant. You're doing what's right for your health and the structure around you.
Yeah, for sure. Can you actually see through those glasses?
I could see the light because building science is so bright today.
Hey, I thought, wasn't the saying when you're cool, the sun shines 24 hours a day?
Oh, it sounds like we got a song coming out. Take it away, Dave.
I love it. So, hey, Prudence, is that your longboard behind us? You surf?
It is my longboard, but there's a short board in there too that's hiding out. The short board is the one with the fins. The longboard, I could take the fins off, but I am planning on getting some surfing in on the Jersey Shore this winter.
There you go.
I spent the summer paddling in a swimming pool in California, so I got my motor. I'm ready to go, man.
Perfect. Hey, that'll be a lot of fun. We used to surf at the Jersey Shore all the time. So, with that said, listen, I think it's time to jump into today's episode. Hit that like and share button if you don't mind right now, because we are going to bring in Bill Hayward, CEO of the Hayward School and CEO of Hayward Lumber, right? I mean, what do you guys think? Should we bring him in?
I would love it if Prudence starts out with the grand introduction. Take it away, Prudence.
Oh man, Bill, I just can't say enough things about Bill. He's like one of the kindest guys that I know, number one. He's really smart. He when it comes to lumber, he really is one of the most knowledgeable people in the industry about sustainable forestry practices. And because of what he's been through with his family and folks that he works with and talks to through his Hayward lumber store, which provides more than just lumber, he's really familiar with indoor air quality and building health issues, and he's got some fantastic solutions. Now, the work he's going to be telling us about, data gathering all across the country, it's going to blow your mind, guys. It really is. And once again, not only is he able to identify problems, but he's got solutions. So let's have a listen.
Yeah, Annie's just a cool guy. Annie has twins just like I have twins, so we got a lot in common. So let's take him out of the fish tank. What do you think?
Well,
Bill?
hello, everybody.
Well, hey, Bill Hayward, welcome to the show. Did you hear all those nice things Prudence was saying about you?
I did. That's why I'm blushing.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, you know what? This is going to be a lot of fun, Bill. I mean, you've had a real journey in life, and we're really looking forward to hearing this. And Mark and I say it all the time that people that get into doing the types of things that you're doing usually come from a personal experience. And it really affected you and your family and what have you. So with that said, before we jump into the Hayward score, let's jump in to learn a little bit about you. Tell us everything from the moment you were born till this very moment in time. You have 3 minutes, and don't leave out all the gory stuff from the hospital. We're listening.
Okay, you asked for it. Now you're going to get it. Turns out I was born in Monterey Peninsula. I'm a native to California in Carmel. And the day I was born, it was raining and it was a new hospital and it was leaking. So my mother always told me growing up that it leaked on her head. And so you might say I've been around indoor air quality issues since I was born. We're in a family business. We operate a chain of lumber yards up and down the coast of California, and I've been running those for the last 27 years. So we supply between basically Malibu and San Francisco through 8 locations. And through that, I was always trying to help builders build better houses. And so I noticed they did bad waterproofing quite often, more often than I would like to see. So became a building scientist through the process. And then ultimately I got sick in my own house, which is the second story I'll tell. But from my seat at the lumberyard, I started to focus in '99 on sustainability and how we could build greener buildings and improve the building climate for our builders to do that. And the things they wanted weren't available, like FSC certified lumber. And in fact, when I first started inquiring, I'd never heard of a green builder or FSC certified lumber. But within a year, we became the first lumber company in the country to stock and sell FSC wood. And through that process, I was asked to join the FSC board, and then I became chair of the FSC board. And that was a magical journey looking at the world's ecosystems and forestry. And through FSC and the strategies that we laid down back then, now 25% of the world's working forests are certified, on the way to be 50. And ultimately, that'll represent at least a third of solving the global carbon footprint problem. So that's my background. I have twin girls and a 13-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old daughter and son. I live with my wife in a Hayward Healthy home in Carmel, and I'm home now.
I love it. So just so everybody knows, Bill, because we have people from all different channels and social media, explain what FSC means.
Thank you. FSC is the Forest Stewardship Council. So it's a standard for sustainable, well-managed forestry. It was born out of the forestry wars of the 70s and 80s, when environmental groups and government and nonprofit and industry didn't trust each other and yelled at each other, do better, I'm doing better, do better. So foundations got together and they formed this cohesive group of social, environmental, and business to develop a standard they could all agree on. And that became the FSC. And because it had such broad support, it became the global standard. And today, that's what we strive to certify to, because we can see that in FSC certified forests, there's less social unrest, the environment's better, animals are taken care of, and there's much greater carbon sequestration. And it's a healthy and economically viable way to do forestry. So you see in paper, all our junk mail, all our mail, our magazines say FSC certified. You go in Home Depot, a lot of the products FSC. We're trying to get more FSC wood on the ground. For tropicals, it's incredibly important to buy and request FSC.
For tropicals, what does that mean?
Tropical woods.
Tropical woods, got it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the stuff
forestry in the U.S. has gotten a lot better over the years. We'd like it all to be FSC. Canada's a lot of FSC, but globally, where there's places of unrest and illegal logging, FSC really settles that and creates a good, sustainable forestry system.
Outstanding. I love it. Mark, I mean, this wood is good. That's what Mark likes to say. Wood is good. What do you got, Mark?
Wood is good. So Bill, when I was growing up, my father was a buyer and operations manager for lumberyards in the Midwest. And I was a terrible student. So you had to always do book reports and whatnot. And I read 2 pages of a book, I fall asleep. That wasn't me. But he would always bring back these journals and reports. And so, me being the young salesman that I was, I convinced my teacher I could do reports on reports and journals. So I made it through most of my grade school and junior high submitting reports of the lumber trade and the industry. So I was a geeky kid in that world, and it's nice to hear your refreshing take on it as well.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I just love about Bill is we're on this show to talk about indoor air quality, and here he comes with all this great information about sustainable forestry. And that just sings to my heart, because when we're talking about passive house principles, which is the way that I like to approach zero carbon buildings, that toolbox is really integrated. It brings in the whole big picture. It's not just about the embodied carbon of the wood that we're building these buildings with. It's not just about the indoor air quality. It's about how all of these things work together in one cohesive system.
Very inclusive statement there, Prudence. Very inclusive.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So, Bill, let's get into this, man. Right. So, we're going to talk a lot about the Hayward score today and what the Hayward score is and why did you get into this? So, you mentioned in your introduction dialogue, so to speak, that you've been in sick homes all your life. Why don't you tell us what put you over the edge?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, I live in Carmel, Pebble Beach, Monterey area, and it's a foggy, damp, wet environment. I got married in 06, and then my wife and I bought what we would call our dream home. And we were excited. We moved in, we had a new baby, but we'd run the heat and we'd start to sneeze. And then we started to be exhausted and then, tired. Well, we had a new baby. It's got to be the baby, right? Because who's not exhausted with a baby? My wife's a doctor, 2 masters and a PhD in psychology. So we talked ourselves into that. Well, winter comes and suddenly I can't hold a 10-digit phone number in my head long enough to dial it. I'm literally falling asleep in meetings. I can't think clearly. I start to conclude that I've had a brain injury because I can't remember words. I fall asleep at lunch. I fall asleep by 7 at night. And I remember saying, well, I am, 46 now. Maybe I just, can't work like I used to. I was kind of ready to give up. She was not able to get pregnant at that point. We'd been pregnant with our first immediately. Our daughter had green stuff coming out of her nose all the time. And I was getting fed up. So we hired some environmental testers. They came over to the house and they, in fact, tested the house. And they said, well, yeah, there's a lot of mold in the crawl space. There's not that much in the house, but don't worry about it. You don't live in the crawl space. Now, literally, that's written in the report. And honestly, you'll still see reports written like that. Well, I knew enough about building science to know, I think the air from the crawl space comes up in the house. So somebody said, do the lemon pledge test. Lemon pledge test, huh? Yeah, go down the crawl space. So I go down the crawl space and with a bottle of lemon pledge, and my wife's on a cell phone, so am I. I squirt it just a little bit, and suddenly she says, it's coming everywhere. I smell it everywhere. And that's when my worst fear was literally confirmed. Okay, we're living in a house full of mold, and I think my illness and hers and the whole family's is from it. So we made the big decision that night at 11 o'clock, and we moved out and never went back to the house. We started to get better, but it took a while. And so here I am in the building industry, and I started to do research. First, I formed the Hayward Healthy Home Institute, and I found that the EPA tells us that half the homes, buildings, and schools in America have an indoor air quality problem that's affecting our health. Wow, wait a minute. I'm an industry insider. How did I not know that? And as Hayward Lumber, we serve 5,000 builders. And if any of you are in the lumber business, when a builder gets sued, the lumberyard gets sued too. So I thought, whoa, 70% of builder litigation is over waterproofing, and that leads to unhealthy homes. I know it firsthand now. We need to fix it. And so we set out to build the Hayward Healthy Home Principles. We wanted to build simple principles, think K through 12, right? There's Living Building Challenge, and there's LEED, and there's these really advanced systems. But let's start with principles that all builders can understand and all folks. So continuous fresh air. Houses need ventilation. Properly sealed and insulated. Cold spots are a problem. Moisture accumulates. And when you properly seal and insulate, suddenly it's peacefully quiet inside and you don't have pests and bugs. Super cool value for a homeowner. Less toxic materials. We originally said non-toxic, but then we read the labels and we said, well, actually, there's nothing that's non-toxic, so less toxic would be better. And cleanable surfaces. And cleanable surfaces turn out to be very, very important. We later added a 5th principle. I'll explain that. So again, we're helping builders, but builders are slow to change. And what they say is, I'd change if the architect told me to change. I'd change if the homeowner told me to change. So I remembered my experience at FSC. We transformed 25% of the global markets through consumer demand. Let's use consumer demand. So we set out to build the Hayward Score. And the Hayward Score was a consumer-facing tool. It's free. And so if you go online today, you can get your Hayward Score. You can answer about 50 questions about your house. It will diagnose your house. It will suggest if it's impacting your health, and it will tell you how to fix it based on the climate you live in using the best available building science. So we combine the best available building science and the best available medical science. I say medical science, we track 23 medical symptoms. These are self-reported symptoms, right? So these are the symptoms that occupants observe. We score the house. We look at the dampness. We look at indoor and outdoor pollutants. We ask questions like, what's your home built of? How old is your carpet? How old's the house? What climate do you live in? How often do you cook? Do you steam? Do you take showers 10 minutes or longer? Internal moisture loading is a big problem. Do you live near sources of pollution? And then how do you store your chemicals? How often do you treat with pesticides? How many pets do you have? Anything that has to do with habits, attributes of the house, external and internal pollutants, and the microbiome of the house.
Yeah.
Right? And so that calculates it, and it gives you this free report that says, here's where to start. And one of the biggest things we learned, and this was interesting, you know, I named the 4 things that are sort of structural. Well, it turns out about a third of what makes a home healthy are habits. Occupant habits make a huge difference. Do you take your shoes off? Do you run the range hood? Do you run the bath fan? Where do you store your chemicals? Right? These things matter. And habits lay down in layers on the walls. To understand that, think of a smoker's house. There's no question there were layers laid down. But every day our habits, how we cook, how often we clean, do we aerosolize stuff in the house, it lays on the wall, and air's moving. It's bouncing off the walls and the ceiling. These are big surfaces, and it flavors the air, just like the air pathways into the house flavor the air. And it turns out what's in our air ends up what we breathe. And if it's small enough, PM2.5 or smaller, these are microns of 2.5 and smaller, those go in the lung, they go deep in the lung of the alveoli, they get absorbed to the bloodstream, and they go into the body. So now we understand, you know, that 60% of health and longevity is determined by environmental exposures. Okay, we think environmental exposures, those are out there, right? They're over there, they're out there. Except that we spend 90% of our time indoors. Where? In our house. Well, especially during COVID, it's in our house. So it turns out that environmental exposures aren't out there, they're in our house. Then we say, oh, well, it's all going to kill us, right? It's all going to kill me, so what can I do? You gave up your power. It's your house. It's infinitely actionable. By doing a few things around your house, you can change your health in a dramatic way. And I learned that firsthand. And so that's why we made the Hayward score free. We wanted to share the knowledge that we'd spent years building, and I mean years, with everybody and make it accessible to everybody. And we did. And today we've scored 80,000 homes across America. We have now the largest study of the correlation of health and housing ever completed. We have the attention of multiple research institutes across the country that are studying our data with us, and we are learning ways to apply it and help all people be healthy by transforming housing.
That's amazing. I mean, so you're telling me you can lose your memory.
Yes.
You know, they're like short-term potentially. It can cause you all kinds of other health issues, and you don't even know it. You think you're just tired because you had kids. I mean, maybe this is my problem. Does it grow hair?
It might. Often you lose hair. Losing
Well,
hair.
I mean, if I fix it. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, we had Cheryl Seco on and some others that were talking about this. And until you really understand that the little things matter in your home, and overlooking, oh, it's just a little bit of mold on the outside or in my crawl space or what have you. No, it's coming in your house, and your kids are breathing it. You're breathing it. You know, I'm taking your study right after this. I'm scared to take it. Who knows what I'm going to find?
No,
Yeah.
Dave, you're scared not to take it.
There you go.
Well,
Right.
so what Dave said, though, is he's scared. And most people are like, I'm scared to take it. I don't think I can afford it. What we learned is 60% of America would like to live in a healthy home, but they don't think they can afford it. What we also learned of 80,000 scores, 40% are renters, right? A renter has different access to what they can do. So if you get your score, you're going to get a number of what we call affordable and transportable solutions, because we had to speak to people at every budget level, right? I can tear my house down. Well, no, I gotta solve my problem or mitigate my problem in the house that I'm stuck in now. So you will find infinite number of solutions that are affordable inside.
I mean, that's
I want to echo what you just said, because a lot of people might hear from your experience with your existing building, the score came about. But as a lumber supplier and whatnot, we're also in tune with the fact that new construction can also take this, because as Dave will get into his soapbox, site-built projects often experience the climate affecting the materials throughout the build. And so we might be trapping in quite a bit. into our buildings and producing an unhealthy building in the process of building a new building.
Yes, for sure. And I do have myself a soapbox. I love it. So I think this is a good point that what happened to Mark? He ran away. I think this is a good point to kind of show this intro video to the Hayward score, right, from your website. So why don't we show that and pop it, and then we'll come back in and we're going to say hello to everybody and find out where Mark ran off to. All right, here we go, everybody.
Your home is meant to be where you feel safest. But for centuries, homes have been making people sick. Many homes are built with toxic materials. Flooring and wood furniture often contain formaldehyde. Indoor air can become contaminated as it flows into the house through basements, walls, and hidden pathways. Mold thrives, both visibly and in hidden spaces. And dirt floors still impact us because what's in your crawl space seeps into your family's living space. Homes continue to make people sick. We are on a mission to change that. Hayward Score empowers you to make your home healthier by combining our deep scientific knowledge about buildings with what you know about your own home. It's simple. You answer questions about your home and how you live in it. We analyze the results and instantly provide you with a customized report containing your score, a comprehensive assessment of your home's issues, and detailed action plans to guide you in making your home healthier. Get your Hayward score so you and your family can start living healthier now.
Well, how about that, huh? I mean, that's really what it is. I think that's such a great intro that simplifies, you know, what we're talking about and shows people how easy it is to actually, you know, get a score, figure out what's going on. Because to me, you know, especially if you have kids, maybe they don't have allergies, right?
Yeah,
maybe they don't need those shots, right? I mean, there's so much. I think that's what's so powerful about this. And until you clean up your living environment, you really will never know.
We hear this all the time with asthma. And people will say, oh my gosh, my kid has asthma. He's using his inhaler all the time. We moved, new house, they don't use it at all. Or we fixed the crawl space, we fixed this, we change, they don't use the inhaler. And that is absolutely true. Or people will say, I've been coughing in this house for years. I cough every time. They fix it, cough goes away. A lot of health symptoms are a result of the air we breathe.
Yeah. Go ahead, Prudence.
Bill, you and I were chatting this morning, and one of the things that we talked about that I wanted to ask you about again so the audience can hear is what role does insurance have to play in all of this when we're talking about home insurance and health insurance?
It's a really good question. You know, the team at Harvard, and I'll just show this book, Healthy Buildings, they've been working on this concept for a long time. We work with them closely, Joe Allen and Jack Spangler. The premise of that book is your building manager has more to do with your long-term health than your doctor. And we believe that your home has more to do with your long-term health than your doctor. So as we are able to correlate health impacts in houses and insurance spend, there will be a day in the future when your health insurance company will understand that by fixing the house or providing tools to fix the house, the total cost to insure will go down. I think as we understand health and housing, then health insurance can never be removed from the question or the conversation of affordability of housing, because we know that in unhealthy houses, insurance spend goes up significantly.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Bill, how long does it take a homeowner to complete the survey on average?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's about 12 to 14 minutes on average to complete it, but there's a gift that goes with it. So, and that's a long time, right? For a survey, it's a really long time. But 80% of the people who start it finish it. And it's really a journey of guided discovery. You'll go through the first section and say, we ask you these questions about moisture because here's what happens with moisture. We ask you these questions about chemicals in your house because these are important. These are how they impact your health. And so what people tell me when they're done is like, I now understand my home as a system. I know how it works. And so I just add one point. In the beginning when we did this, we thought we were going to tell homeowners something they'd never heard about. What it turns out is about 60-70% of homeowners think their home's impacting your health. They just don't know how. So we discovered it's a dirty little secret that nobody's talking about, nobody knows what to do about. Even builders and architects know it. When I get in a room with builders and architects and I ask, how many of you think your home's impacting your health? 80% raise their hand. Yet this is the team that's entrusted to design homes. And as you know from building science, it's taken a long time to bring building science to standard construction. So we have a mission in front of us to make this happen.
Well, it sounds like you're off to a big start. I mean, with almost 80,000 people doing it, I think it's very clear that people are interested in learning more and being healthier. And have you seen a big increase in your testing since COVID?
So we did see a big increase. And we also saw, interestingly enough, more reporting of symptoms and a move towards less toxic chemicals. People started reporting they were using less toxic chemicals. We started putting out a lot of information about, hey, everybody's home during COVID, the windows are shut, the CO2 is getting really high, kids are going to feel anxious, learning outcomes are going to go down. Open the windows. And when I say open the windows, I don't mean wide open. I mean just enough, crack 2 windows so you can feel air on the back of your hand, and that will dissipate and create a much healthier environment as we're all home.
I always encourage people, and you mentioned earlier, Bill, the chemicals we have in our house. You know, start with a rag and water. Water is a very, very powerful chemical. And if it's not strong enough, you have this marvelous thing given to you called elbow grease, right?
Yeah.
So with this product of elbow grease and water, you're on it, right? You're on it like flies and stink, and you'll take care of it. So, so many buildings are covered with carpet and covered with drapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
These things are just holding. Who vacuums their drapes? How frequently can you vacuum your carpet? Really, it's constantly giving that new car cancer into the air. So out with the carpet. Builders don't even put it in. And interior decorators and designers, we've had it with the drapes. No more. Let the sun shine in.
I couldn't agree more. And we see in our data that where people have older carpet and live near outdoor sources of pollution like freeways, health symptoms rise significantly because the carpet's re-entraining it all the time. We also see and have discovered the answer to why curtains stink. You know that smell? You go up to curtains, you're like, oh, God, it's all good. Well, that sun shines into that little pocket of air behind the curtain. It warms that air up and it holds a lot of moisture. And then in the winter, suddenly it gets cold and it dumps its moisture in the carpet, into the curtain. So the interior decorators didn't tell us there's a water pump behind our curtains, but there's a water pump.
Yeah, but grandma would kill me if I touched her curtains.
Right? So back to the chemicals. Yes, water, great. Water and vinegar, great. Would you believe that 3% of America stores fertilizer and paint in their bedroom? I have that data out of 80,000 homes. Yes, it's true.
Fertilizer?
Paint and fertilizer in the bedroom.
I can understand paint or something in a closet, but fertilizer?
So I'm guessing, like, hey, there's space under the bed. I don't have any place else to put it, right?
Well, maybe they got grow rooms in their closet or something.
That could be.
My last 20 years, I've been talking building science, and all I needed to talk about is fertilizer and paint. Boy, this is an easy road.
Yeah.
Well, my point is there's a lot of room for indoor air quality improvement with just a couple of changes. One of the things we calculate is we call chemical behavior, how often you treat, and how often where you store your chemicals. And people mostly store in the house, but a lot of people store in the garage. And one of the things we say at Hayward Score is if it's in your garage, it's in your house. So if the snowmobile's out there, usually 20% of the air you have coming into the house is coming through the garage. And often there's that big gap under the door. I mean, we'd at least like to close the gap and put an automatic closer on it. But sealing that space between garage and house is critical.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pinnacle for health and safety alone, right? For the basic premise of what firemen are trying to battle, right? On down to your health. Dave, I think we have a number of comments we got to get to. This is going to be a 4-hour show, folks. So buckle your seatbelt.
Yeah, sit down, because Bill has nothing to talk about.
No.
I love it. All right, let's get in here and just say hi to some people tuning in today. We got George Ryman. Good morning from Surefoot Foundations, Phoenix, Arizona. We got Joe Madosh. He's saying, Prudence, your microphone is low. I wonder.
Hope it got fixed.
Yeah, no, it's still a little bit low. Maybe try it without the headset. See if it comes through. Maybe it won't bounce back on us. Look at
Joe,
that.
Joe, that's an actual technique. When people talk gentle, then the audience stops doing what they're doing, and they really focus in on what's being said. This is a technique. Prudence has a powerful message, Joe. You know that.
What were you saying, Mark? I didn't really understand that. Can you hear me? All right, Bill Spohn. What's happening, Bill? Bill was on Modular with us Tuesday on Building Modular with Jennifer, going for net zero in his house in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Love it, love it, love it. Andrew Seeley is joining us. Great show today. Hey, Andrew. Adam White, good morning, all. Prudence, you rock.
Oh, thank you.
Sean St. Amour, great lineup today. Hello from Vancouver. Gotta love it. Oh, we got better construction with Sean McStay. Consumer buy-in is the #1 key to unlocking high-performance buildings for all. Absolutely. So if you don't know better construction with Sean McStay, he also is a lead at Siga North America. Siga Tape, Siga House Wrap. Actually, he's in Canada though, but I think it's part of the Siga North America brand. No, maybe John will correct me.
Bill, do you recognize any of these names today? Do you know some of these folks?
I do. In fact, we're a Siga dealer.
Wonderful.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Outstanding. Gotta love it.
Love
Gotta
the
love
tape.
it.
I've been to the factory in Switzerland, and they know more about sticky tape than anybody on the planet.
I love it. All right. So we got Jennifer in the background. She says, hey, Mark, this week's t-shirt, say no to drugs and drapes.
I like that.
That's kind of funny.
You know, one of the comments earlier was about bringing consumers to the market. And to me, if I leave no other point, the way we can move the market is health. I spent 20 years trying to sell sustainability and 12% people cared about it. But health is 60%, and it's me, it's my family, it's us, it's actionable. If I do this, I take care of my family, and it brings with it airtightness and energy efficiency and desire for the techniques and better building that we all talk about. So it's faster that we can bring health to the table as the driver towards this. I think the faster we can combat climate change and create healthier indoor environments.
Absolutely, Bill. The sustainability and the green thing is something that the professionals do outside of the discussion with the consumers. You deliver the energy efficiency as a responsibility as a supplier and as a craftsman on the projects and as a building modeler. But as Michael Ingwe says, the attributes are what people are looking for. Yeah. So our comfort and our health is what the consumers are experiencing, or they're experiencing uncomfort and unhealthy buildings. And that's why they need to take the Hayward score.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. We're going to get into that Hayward score. All right, let's keep going through some, here we go. Teresa Elizabeth, thank you for joining us today. Do you have any recommendation for new builds aside from making sure there is good waterproofing and ventilation?
Yes. So ventilation at ASHRAE levels is a 0.3 ACH, or 1 air change every 3 hours. Please, it is not enough. I have years of data testing. We want to be at 0.5. And then source control, right? It's really about the chemicals that are in the building. And buildings are full. So I finished my house, and I'm in the industry, and we spent 2,000 hours researching all the building materials in 14 to make sure that they were the lowest possible off-gassing materials available in the market. And we moved in, well, before we moved into the house, we tested. Usually it's 90 days after. So we tested. And we turned the ventilation off because we said, we did such a great job, it's going to be clean. Well, the TVOCs went up to 1,700 with ventilation off for 48 hours. And that is a headache-creating, unhealthy environment. Turn the ventilation on, and within 2 hours, it was down to 300, and it held it low, right? So the total body burden that we experience is held low. But if the power went out, if anything happened, that would go back up. Now, I assumed, mistakenly, that the majority of off-gassing would happen in the first 6 months to 2 years. Formaldehyde has a half-life of 6 months. Well, now we've been in the house 6 years, and we continue to test. And if we turn the ventilation off, it still goes back up to those same numbers. So there's far more chemicals in the building materials than we imagined. So then the next step in new construction, we really recommend away from OSB. Stay with plywood. Big risks, a quarter paint, OSB plywood, so plywood, and cabinetry. Now, if you stack all the plywood up that's in a house in a pile, And then you put next to it all the plywood that was used to build all the cabinets, the pile's bigger. Nobody thinks about that. And usually there's less care taken in the cabinets and whether they're off-gassing or not. So if you can really minimize the off-gassing of the cabinets, the plywood, avoid carpet, and get the paint right, you're in really good shape. And then we talk about the breathing envelope because there's always budget, right? So if sheetrock is the edge of the breathing envelope, air tightness is probably in the wall somewhere. What's outside the wall, we'd like to be chemically free too, but there's budget. So focus on what's in the breathing envelope first to make sure you eliminate the sources. And then don't do what I saw on a passive house project in Austria. Literally the air intake for the ventilation system was above the trash can. And it smelled like it.
Yeah, that's a big one. The OSB comment, Bill, and I'm with you 100% on cabinetry. People have no idea cabinetry, and it goes on beyond your cabinetry. It's your closets. So Dave knows the story. I did a historic lead home. It was a multi-unit converted to a single family, and we did as much as we could. And when we finished the project, we had a punch list, but we left and came back. And LEED has this flush system where you have to flush the house. Well, fortunately, the owner had the house next door, so the windows were open on this project for the year we worked on it. And then we came back for our punch list, and I showed up, and all my workers were in the alley, and they refused to go in the house. And I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "There's something wrong in there." So I went in, and what happened is they received all their closets from a factory, God knows where, and they were, all the boxes were sitting there. They had been unpacked, and of course the house was then closed because we were getting ready for the holidays. And so we took all of it and we moved it into the garage. And by the end of the day, still with the windows open in the house, it felt like you were in a shoe plant, right? It was just that full of an odor. It was godly unrestful.
Yeah. Prudence, I saw you up there doing this. Did I spell something wrong, or you got something to say? Oh, we lost your mic. We can't hear you at all.
That was actually all about putting the air intake next to the garbage. That's a big no-no. Passive house or no, you just don't do that.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
That's why I was doing it.
That's the fertilizer in your bedroom.
Sense.
Wait, all at once?
Another new construction point is construction dust. And the construction dust holds the entire record of the construction project. All of the chemicals get on the dust. And the more and more research that comes out is our heavy exposures are from the dust, because that's what goes in the lung and the bloodstream. And it's the carrier of environmental pollutants that settle on it. So we really recommend the Hayward score dust protocol, which is vacuum with a HEPA vacuum, wipe with non-toxic chemicals and a non-toxic rag, vacuum a second time. And when I say that, I mean actually pull the cabinets out, pull the drawers out, get in every opening into the pocket doors. So it sounds like a lot, and the builders look at me like, yeah, no, I'm going to do that. But they do it, and they usually do it themselves because they try to hire a local cleaning crew and they don't get it. And then they call me back and they're like, you know what, that was really great. We touched every surface. We found mistakes that we would have turned over to the homeowner. The house was in better shape. We felt better. And the homeowner loves it because there are no new constructions. Well, there are no dust smells.
Right.
So it really turns out to be, and it's an extra day, right? An extra day for a massive impact.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I see Prudence is trying something new. I'm getting a little bit of feedback though. Let's hear you, Prudence. Say something great.
Is this any better? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right.
Definitely.
So Bill, you and I worked together way back when you were building your new house. You're currently going on year 4 of your construction project, building a Hayward Healthy Home passive house. And I'm curious what you're finding with folks that are building passive houses that are taking the score. What is the indoor air quality like in these passive houses as compared to what owners report in conventional homes?
Yeah, so this has been very exciting news. First of all, I've been living in a passive house for 4 years, and my wife and I were incredibly sensitive to the point that We couldn't go in a moldy building, a chemical building. I couldn't even actually work in my hardware stores. But I've recovered now. So that's a great data point. I'm much stronger. I can still be impacted. People who live in passive houses often say that, but we needed data. So we've been asking people who live in passive houses to get their score. And we've also been getting scores of people that have HRVs, because we make an assumption if they have a Zender HRV or ERV, it's probably been built close to house passive, but there's been a lot more time. And we have about 250 scores now that come in with those systems or say that it's passive. And what we're finding is no odors versus most homes 10 years old have 40% report bad odors. We're finding very few medical symptoms reported, which they're self-reported, so that's still clear. But the signal is very strong that people are living a much healthier life in that. The research certainly says it. And we're also finding that in those homes that report those systems, they're not reporting leaks, whereas 50% of homes report leaks, and we know there's a high frequency of leaks. So that's telling me that builders who build passive take greater care, and there's less liability in the long run, because leaks are truly one of the big liabilities for both a health claim and a disaster claim.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody, let's take a moment. If you are just joining us, we are live with Bill Hayward, CEO of the Hayward Score and CEO of Hayward Lumber. We also have Prudence Ferreira with us. So if you could, please hit that like and share button right now so we can grow our community and we can all build healthier homes. Look, I took everybody off the screen. That wasn't my intent, but hey, they're all back joining us. So listen, Bill, I mean, it's really kind of, it's such an amazing, conversation, and it's so simple. Just like Prudence said, putting your intake next to your garbage is, that's just common sense, right? That's like having a dumpster out back of your restaurant and putting a fan on it to blow it all back in. It makes no sense. Nobody would eat at your restaurant. And I think there's a whole lot to learn about this. And I have to make a remark. You were talking about the dust particles, and watching some of your videos, like Mark was doing as well. This is really important if you're a builder on site. That these dust particles, where you're cutting lumber or wood, and you cough and sneeze, and you're not doing the proper protection, those droplets could land on a dust particle and just float its way to somebody else. Am I saying that correctly?
You're exactly right. I actually helped write the construction safe protocol for construction for Monterey County, which our county health inspector helped us open construction back up. And now we're really recommending implementing 6 air changes per hour on the job site. So I did it, right? We use box fans and we use ram board. We tape the box fans in. It's an 8,000 square foot site, 10 box fans, and we have 6 air changes per hour. California forest fires came by and we taped cheap MERV 13 filters from Home Depot on the side. And I had better air in my construction site. The guys were loving working in it. It was as COVID safe as you can get. But, looking at the Harvard studies which show the improvement in cognition and productivity, these guys aren't burning out in the afternoon. There's no dust particles in there. They were telling me, we love working in here. And this cost us $700, right? And so on a national basis, we can keep our industry rolling by using simple methods like this to keep our job sites COVID safe and dust free, which means when we turn them over to the end user, they're going to be in better shape. Yeah,
for sure.
Oftentimes when you have a new construction build, the JC has a self-perform carpentry crew, right? And so someone in the string of hierarchy is responsible for the sweeping. And then we have a string of people after that doing drywall and plaster sanding. And then, of course, all the flooring and trim and doors. There's a substantial amount of dust going on. So the tips that I say is, while it might not be in your certification process, those ducts, the second they're in, are covered. Yes. They're covered. And that furnace system does not run until the project is complete. There's other ways to heat and cool that building, and there's other ways to ventilate them. It might sound odd, but it's not odd. And the next step is the sequencing of all those trades. The general contractor needs to allot for the subcontractors not being responsible for cleaning up after themselves. So when you remove the large items and you go back and do the vacuuming, the HEPA vacuuming and the wiping down, like Bill mentioned, the workers are happier and healthier, and the long state of the building is happier and healthier because it's not shoved into the wall right before you insulate and drywall, right? And later on, someone gets their Budweiser can and their McDonald's wrapper. That's not happening. There's no banana peels in the walls. It's not happening.
No banana peels in your walls? Come on. The mice need something.
We have a trash receptacle outside of our projects, and one is for food waste, one is for recyclables. And then we always tell people there's no receptacles for your construction materials. And they say what? And I said, because you're not supposed to be wasting. Now, do we have them? Yes, we do. But the sign says that we don't. So we impression people as to realize there is no away, right? You don't throw something away.
That's right. That's right. So, Bill, listen, we're already at 55 minutes here today. I mean, time just flies by. Why don't you tell everybody, and then we'll go and say hi to some more people. But how do you take this Hayward score? Go to your website, right?
Yeah, you simply go to the website haywardscore.com. It's free. It says get your score. Click that, and you'll be into the score. You'll start asking questions. 10, 12 minutes later, you will have your Hayward score, and you'll have your 5-page report based on the zip code you live in with the suggestions. And then once you've got them, let's say it's ventilation or chemical storage, whatever, or moisture, whatever major issues are cited about your house, there's a multi-page action plan that explains how to do it, how to fix it, how to solve it. And so there's a tremendous resource. I mean, this was 7 years of work building all these tools, and they're available to everybody.
I think it's absolutely wonderful.
After the questions, Dave, Prudence, I'd like you to dive in on the building science, the high performance, and the passive house projects, and how they can participate in this from the IAQ point, and take us down a ride after our Q&A.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
All right, so listen. We got a lot of likes in the like column, so let's go down. We got Simon Waldron joining us. Hey, Simon, thanks for tuning in today. Tom Reddy, Synergy Steel. And we have Alexander DeCogne joining us. How you doing, Alexandra? Good to see you. Dr. Brett Musson is in the house. Gotta love Dr. Musson always. Anna Perion. I think I said that right. Perion. She's associate Luterio Thomas Architect. So she's a lead AP. Love it. Jessica Dunning is joining us. So thank you for joining us. We said hi to Teresa Elizabeth already with her question. And Craig Briers is also joining us. And we have Ian Robinson said, definitely a great chat, and hi from Vancouver also. So Ian, thank you so much for leaving a message up there. I love it. And Ashley did say we have sustainability in our tagline, but we always talk about comfort, health, and wealth and efficiency on the planet. I definitely need to talk to Bill more. So yesterday, Dave, at the end of his show with Jenny from Rise, Ashley had so many comments that he started calling Jenny Ashley. It was a fun time. And Ashley, I have to say, your profile picture on LinkedIn is the best. Thank you for sharing those wonderful sunflowers with the rest of us. Really appreciate the sunflowers and what Rise does for our industry. Yeah, for so much. Yep. All right, Jennifer Cooper. Marky Colton is laughing out loud. No to banana peels in the walls. That would be my 4-year-old son, by the way, who is listening in the background. And then Tom Reddy, great show. Y'all love hearing about how we can improve our living spaces. So I love it. Prudence, there's no better person than you to take us out. So lay it on heavy, and don't hold back anything.
All right. Well, you guys told me the deep dive I did last time gave y'all a hangover, and that's why it's been a while since I've been on the show. So all right. We like hangovers. Anyway, so the thing here is, everyone, we're trying to promote high performance building practices, whether you're doing passive house or you're just starting to get into air tightness, air sealing your building using heat recovery ventilation. And we want to get all the data that we can for Bill's score so that we can understand indoor air quality and how it's contributing to our health or detracting from it. Data, as we all know, it's really, really important in being able to get things done, get projects funded, get programs. So I'd like to do a shout out to any of the Passive House people out there or builders who are considering Passive House and make an announcement and a request. The announcement is this. Last night, the Passive House Institute US rolled out their FIAS Plus 2020 program for residential, and townhomes are included. It is a prescriptive checklist path. You do not have to do energy modeling. You do not even need a certified Passive House consultant on the team. A member of the team can go through the checklist, incorporate the practices into the design and construction, and get a really high performance project. We've got the recipe there for you. Now, when you combine that with some Bill's Hayward Healthy Homes score, and you're thinking about how you're going to build your new builds or how you're going to retrofit your existing buildings, these two are a really fantastic, powerful combination. So that's the announcement. And the call out that I want to give to people is, if you're a builder and you're doing new construction and you want to know how your house is doing, but you're thinking about something new to build, use the Hayward Healthy Score. Use the Hayward Score to help you understand building practices that are going to make you have a better result at the end. So now the last thing that I want to say is, for anyone listening in or listening after the fact who's in the Passive House community, Bill has gathered about 250 scores from Passive House buildings, Passive House homeowners. We need about 1,000 total to get a really good data set to show how this approach, this toolbox of passive measures, is something that we need to educate the public on, roll out into our country potentially, so that everyone can benefit from these practices. And the degree to which we can get that data going, the sooner the better. So if you're in a Passive House, please take that Hayward Healthy Score test. If you're not in a Passive House or you're thinking about building one, please take it. If you're in a home that you know is making you sick, please take the score.
I think if I heard that right, no matter whether you're a new home, old home, occupant, owner, high performance home, Passive House home, take the Hayward Score, take the Hayward Score, take the Hayward Score, and then walk to your neighbor's house and say, have you done it? Have you done it yet? Are you one of them? Have you done it?
Well, what you're going on to see if your score is better than your neighbor's, right? And then you can get your score up higher.
That's right. This is brilliant, and thanks for the announcement, Prudence, with FIAS and that new bridge. I think maybe in the chat we should include that announcement. We should include the link again to the Hayward Score in the chat, because the chat lives on. And I want to invite everyone. Prudence made a request. I have a request to register for next Friday with Adam White of Intelligent Membranes, and a reminder that Corbett Lunsford and Grace are back on the 11th. Doug Farr is here on the 4th, and Maureen Sanchez of RDH is here on the 18th of December.
Yep, love it. So there you have it. Appreciate you joining us today, Prudence and Bill. This has been very, very insightful. And as you can see from people in the comments, love it. I'm learning, Kyle Norris. So we appreciate each and every one of you out there. So thanks for tuning in today to DaveCooper.live. And again, we will be back next Friday with another BS Friday with Sean St. Sean St. Amour. Am I getting or Adam White? I'm losing my mind today. Adam White.
Sean is with 475.
Too many intelligent membrane people out there. Everybody has something smart. Yes.
Hey, Dave, while people are taking the time to like on YouTube, can you give us a lowdown and share with Bill and Prudence who's coming on Monday and what you might be telling us about on Coffee with Dave Saturday?
Well, listen here. So we were just finalizing some things on Monday, but yeah, I can definitely tell you. Coffee with Dave, we're going to talk about all the things that has happened this past week, which was a big week. But Monday, we have a special guest on from Washington, D.C., and we're going to talk about a new report that came out, all the FAQs for offsite construction. So if you can believe that, that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to pull up right now.
What does FAQ stand for? Is that anything to do with air quality? Please say yes.
Facts. We're going to be talking about the facts. The facts with Ryan Kolker, which is great. And Ryan, and I can never remember all their titles, but he's the executive director of the Alliance for National and Community Resilience. So that's gonna be a big show. And then of course we have on building modular. We have a new modular company joining us out in Texas. They are architects that decided we need to build better. There's nobody doing it in Texas, right? So not only did they go and invest time and learn in a factory in Virginia how to build offsite and modular, guess what? They went back to Texas and said it's still not good enough. We're building our own manufacturing plant so we can build better and healthier homes. So that's only the start of the week, Mark. So we got a lot more coming.
And for those of you who noticed the LinkedIn change for Jennifer, Jennifer and Dave do the show every Tuesday as they're carrying forward the offsite community. As we know, our construction industry is constantly aspiring to do more with building science. That's why Bill and Prudence are on today with their years of expertise. And we're also trying to usher in more offsite production because we're still at a small percentage in our industry, and we need to scale, and we have the solution.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to leave it there. I think that was the perfect outro. Prudence, Bill, thank you so much for your time today and spending it with us on BS Friday.
Thank you.
Right? I don't think I'm going to enjoy my hangover from Prudence as I always enjoy my hangovers from Prudence. I'm Dave Cooper, and we have Mark Bare Naked Willie. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. We will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for Coffee with Dave, and then again on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 1 p.m. every day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.